In his campaign,
democracy has awoken in the Middle East, but was what seems like a spontaneous revolution actually a strategically planned event, cultivated by professional consultants?
The events in North Africa are orchestrated down to the finest details.
These revolution consultants are the worst nightmare of every regime. Here you can see the symbol of resistance.
We are becoming the red flag for the secret police of these places.
They mainly operate in countries in which the Western world has a clear interest. Hardly a coincidence, it seems.
The institutions that support him, you take those away, the regime has to fall.
Cairo in early February. The sudden appearance of the wild horsemen at this demonstration shocked the world over. Storming into the crowd, they split the peaceful demonstration apart. Yet what seemed like a brutal attack by the Mubarak regime was actually a staged affair, intended for the national and international media. The message? Egypt is in a state of chaos. Provoked by these false attacks, demonstrators reacted with violence and the situation escalated. Right from the start, the revolution consultants follow a specific strategy, a strategy developed by the Serbian organization Otpor. This organization mobilized millions of people to bring about the downfall of Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic. Their strategy became a blueprint, proving successful once again when used in the revolution in Egypt. Otpor organized workshops in the outskirts of Cairo. In these workshops we were trained in the art of peaceful resistance. We had to learn that the police are not our enemy and that we must try to get them on our side. We had to impress people with the idea of non-violent resistance. Opposition movements from all over the world come here, to the Serbian capital Belgrade, to be educated in the art of overthrowing a dictatorship. The Serbs have used their experience 12 years ago to form a revolution training school, the Center of Strategy for Non-Violent Resistance, or for short, CANVAS. Chief instructor Serdar Popovic is one of the few CANVAS members who would show his face publicly in front of the camera. It was here in his office that the Egyptian revolution was planned.
The trick is that you don't push, you pull. What you're actually doing is actually persuading these people from the police force, from military force, that there will be a place for them in the new Egypt.
And it isn't just Egyptians getting trained in the art of revolution here.
The part of our work now is focused back to Middle East because of the few reasons. First of all, the struggle is not over. And we're already talking about 8 or 9 different countries. In some of these countries, which I of course wouldn't mention, we have very good groups which we are communicating with. We don't want to endanger these groups, so we wouldn't speak about this openly. In some of these countries, we are just observing situation and preparing analytics. It is very interesting what will come out of it.
Ovu fleku sigurno I nepovratno skida ovu I slične mrlje. Deluje. Gotov je.
It was here, outside the Belgrade parliament, that Otpor's influence began.
How many countries you were working with that after this?
We worked with 37 countries after the Serbian Revolution. We had a successful 5 revolutions now before Middle East. And this is Georgia, Ukraine, Lebanon, Maldives, and now Egypt and Tunisia. And the list will grow longer. And then at the end, we don't have an idea in how many countries the clenched fist of Otpor was used. It's probably a dozen countries right now.
After Milosevic's downfall, Otpor became an international phenomenon. The symbol of the fist reappears all over the world as the signature of the revolution makers. It re-emerged in Kamara, Georgia, followed by Oborona in Russia, then in Venezuela and Iran, and most recently it was used by the opposition groups in Egypt. The American author and Princeton University lecturer William Engdahl has written for over 30 years about Washington's secret geopolitics. He has established a widespread information network that extends deep into America's Secret Service. He is convinced Otpor is not acting alone.
The key actors in Otpor went on to create Canvas, as you mentioned, and operate in some 50 countries. They are simply following an agenda given them by people in Washington for regime change. They're using this deniability that they're simply idealistic young people from Serbia who did it successfully and are so happy about it they want to show the rest of the world. That's hardly a plausible explanation in my view. I think they're getting well financed by American intelligence services for doing this. And the target countries they target, like Egypt and most recently, and so are precisely the countries that are on the Pentagon agenda for destabilization and regime change.
The Otpor movement was indeed financed by American tax money during the Serbian Revolution, a fact that only became public knowledge after Milosevic's downfall. Columbia University has invited Popovic to speak as a guest lecturer. The guest from Serbia enlightens the students on the truth behind the changes in the Middle East. Who was actually behind it all?
This was not spontaneous 19-day revolution. Forget about this illusion. This is, only very shallow understanding of things. They were there for a very long time. So the way you're doing it nonviolent struggle is actually you create this group identity. You want people to feel each other. You want people to be dressed in a similar clothes. You want people to sing because songs make them work together. You want to have drums there who will give the rhythm to your march. You want whistles, you want music, you want fun. This is a very important part. And now it looks like a big, how do you call it, love parade.
And it isn't just Egyptians getting trained in the art of revolution here.
The part of our work now is focused back to Middle East because of the few reasons. First of all, the struggle is not over. And we're already talking about 8 or 9 different countries. In some of these countries, which I of course wouldn't mention, we have very good groups which we are communicating with. We don't want to endanger these groups, so we wouldn't speak about this openly. In some of these countries, we are just observing situation and preparing analytics. It is very interesting what will come out of it.
המים הירדני, נשיאים, עשירי עולם, לרגע נדמה כי נמצאים בבועה, רחוקים מהקשיים הנוכחיים המעיבים על תהליך השלום. איך זה שאת ראש הממשלה אנחנו לא נראה פה הערב?
אנחנו לא אופוזיציה, אנחנו לא מחתרת, אנחנו גם לא זרוע הממשלה.
You'd think that this thing was some Bolshevik plot.